Today we're talking about running belays, or simul-climbing, over moderate terrain. Hello there, everyone. I'm Jason. We are continuing our short series on technical scrambling, that middle point between pitched-out climbs and soloing. You can check out our previous videos on how I go about deciding when or if to bring a rope, and also on terrain and body belays as ways to speed up rope movement over moderate ground. Today, I want to emphasize that moderate ground bit. Simul-climbing, when climbers are tied together on the same rope and are moving at the same time, can add security over moderate ground, where falling is both less likely and less forceful. Simul-climbing is an advanced technique that puts a lot more pressure on climbers to simply not fall. So seek qualified instruction to gain competence.
No problem.
You may most frequently see simul-climbing, also known as a running belay, on snow. The fall forces are much more mild on moderate snow slopes than on vertical rock pitches, and you can generally place a picket wherever you want rather than wherever the rock dictates. It makes a good illustration of the technique, though. The leader will drive a picket and clip their rope through a carabiner. The rope isn't fixed to the protection. The leader and the climbers behind keep going. When the last climber reaches the gear, that climber cleans it. Now, let's take this to the rock environment. The principles are still the same, but notice the major change in risk here when compared to a pitch climb. The leader will still take a lead fall onto the gear, but now the second climber is moving and therefore much more likely to fall themselves. If that second person falls, they will tug on the lead climber, potentially causing them to fall, maybe even pulling them into the gear. Even just failing to have the second climber keep up with the leader, not even taking a fall, could be enough to dislodge the leader should they be at a difficult section. Also, sometimes the second climber will want to climb faster than the leader, who is having to stop and place gear. The second climber may choose to use a gree or other rope capture device above their tie-in point, allowing them to take in slack and give it back out, and thus manage the rope slack for the team. So, while your lead climber needs to be good at route finding and placing gear, like always, there is now an added premium on your second climber being very competent and maybe being the least likely to fall. There are ways to alter the risk dynamics. One way is to use a rope capture device at the protection points, like a roll and lock or a micro traction. The theory is that the rope will pull up freely, allowing the lead climber to progress. What you've done, though, is create a break in the system if the second climber should fall. Now the progress capture device will stop the downward pull and thus protect the lead climber from being yanked. For this to work, the gear placements have to be multi-directional and with very little extension, or you can still get the tugging effect on the lead climber if the second falls. So unless you are on bolts, you are likely at least doubling the rate at which you will burn through gear for placements. Progress capture devices are usually only rated to about 4 kilonewtons and also have the potential to damage the rope. Should the first and second climbers develop a lot of slack in their system, you could place a high enough load on the capture device for it to fail. Also, you are putting more force on the top piece of gear because you have two bodies falling onto it and no dynamic belay is in place. Another consideration is that the leader cannot reverse and downclimb, as there is no way for the following climber to take in the slack. But if we keep the rope tight and on moderate terrain, then we've now gone back to the more typical risk dynamic we'd see with a follower on top rope, in essence, without the added element of potentially tugging the leader off of their feet. So that's an introduction to simul-climbing, a method I use a lot on snow, a little bit on low-angled rock, and leave to the record-chasing speed demons on more vertical terrain. Have you tried simul-climbing? Would you? Tell us what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching this video. Please like, subscribe, and share if you want to support us. For more information, you can go to our website at www.shortguysbetaworks.com. You can take a look at last week's video on terrain and body belays to see how you might use terrain features in simul-climbing, or check out the whole technical scrambling series. We'll see you next week and keep on getting more out of that big outside.